Something interesting we find in the Masechet Sotah, the Gemara there, in the Mishnah. It's in Perek Gimel, Mishnah Dalet. It says over there that it talks about the Sotah over there, So the rule is like this, that if the Sotah drinks the water and she's guilty, so what happens is that she's going to die. It's going to kill her. But says the Mishnah there that there are, certain types of zechut, that a person can have that will delay the punishment of the sotah. Sometimes it can delay for 1 year. Sometimes it can delay for 2 years. Sometimes it can delay for 3 years, the punishment, if she has zechut. What zechut are we talking about? What kind of zechut? Mitzvot and Torah. That's what it is, So usually, right, the mitzvot is like, tzedakah or chesed, something like this. Or she learns Torah, she studies Torah, this lady. And because of that, it's going to delay. The zechut of the Torah will protect her for a couple of years. That's what it says. So, interesting, right? But the Gemara there, right, in the Yerushalmi, it understands this, a little bit, even a wider scope. So what does that mean? Not only the sotah, it applies to, this rule, it applies to anybody who sinned. Doesn't matter what sin he did or whatever. If he's worthy of being punished, right? If he has zechuyot, sometimes it can delay the punishment for a year or 2 years or 3 years. Same thing, A person has zechuyot, that's what happens. There's many cases like this, by the way, we could talk about it, but the ones that the Gemara brings over there, right, in the Yerushalmi, interesting cases, right? It says, where do we learn this from? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, how do we know all this? So 1 year, it says we learn from Nebuchadnezzar, right? There's an episode over there in Sefer Daniel, where Nebuchadnezzar, he did some sins, and so Hashem was very angry at him, And therefore, he told Daniel, to go and tell him, listen, you're going to get punished. You're going to go into the forest and be like an animal, with the animals. You're going to be punished. So Nebuchadnezzar, when he heard this from Daniel, he told him, he said, how can I delay this punishment or, cancel the punishment? How can I do that? Tell me some advice, give me some advice. You're a wise man, Daniel. So Daniel told him, he says, I'll tell you how to do it. You want to know? Do tzedakah, right? Take some money, that you have in the malchut, and give it out to the poor people, to the anim. And this will delay your punishment. So what happened was, the Chazal say that because he gave tzedakah, for 1 year, Nebuchadnezzar, it delayed his punishment for 1 year. So even though he was worthy of being punished now, but he got off the hook for 1 year, and then the punishment came in. Right? That's what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. Where do we learn 2 years? That's 1 year. 2 years where? Right? So it says, right, we learn this from Amnon. You know the story, right? Amnon was the son of David. So he raped, Tamar, right? His sister. And he was worthy of being punished also for that. So they say, right, that because he had zechut, they delayed his punishment for 2 years. What happened in the end, right? In the end, her brother, right, Avshalom, made a party, and he invited Amnon over there, and he killed him, He didn't know he was coming there to be killed. This is what happened. He killed him there, But this was 2 years after that he raped Tamar. So it took 2 years. Why? Because he had zechut. What zechut did he have? So says the Gemara, the Yerushalmi, because he was studying Torah, 2 years, he was learning. Because he was learning Torah, they delayed his punishment for 2 years. What about 3 years? Where do we learn that from? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. What about 3 years? So says the Gemara there, where we learn that from? From Achav. Right? So what happened? That he killed, he murdered somebody, Achav, right? You know the story there, right? What the story is. That he had a property, which was adjacent to his kingdom there, to his malchut, to his palace, and he wanted to tell, right, this guy to buy from him, He said, I'll buy from you. I want this land over here, I want it as a vineyard, I want to plant, I want to make some wine, a winery. I want some, So he told him, he said, let me buy it from you. I'll pay you good cash. So this guy told him, no, I'm sorry, this is my land, from my forefathers. This is my inheritance. I'm not going to give you this land. I'm not going to sell it to you. So Achav got upset, So what happened, right? Izebel, his wife, Rashat. So she told him, says, don't worry, I'll take care of it, So what did she do? She framed this guy, they did some sin, and they killed him, they executed him. So they killed him, he killed him. So Achav was, he got his property, that he was looking for. So what happened was that, Hashem told Eliyahu, he told him, he says, go and tell Achav, you think you got away with it? What do you think, huh? Because he came, to the property to look it over, once he died, this guy, right? He came to look it over, so Eliyahu came to him right there, he was standing on the property. He says, oh, I see, you came, huh? Ratzachta v'yarashta. You killed him and now you're trying to inherit the land, huh? Aha! He says, what's going to be, right? You're liable to death, You and your whole family are going to die. Your whole malchut, everybody is going to be killed. Your whole family. So what happened? They say, right, in the Yerushalmi there, that this punishment was delayed for 3 years. The punishment didn't come right away, even though it should have came right away. No reason to delay it, But he did zechut, Achav. What did he do? Once he heard from Eliyahu, this punishment, what did he do? They say for 3 years, he did tzedakah, mitzvot. All kinds of things like this. And because of that, his punishment was delayed for 3 years. This is what happened with Achav, So this is where we learn. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we learn from there. That's the way it is, So you see from there, by the way, that it's good to have zechuyot, as a backup. The zechut of zakah and mitzvot, chesed, and divrei Torah, right? To learn Torah, Talmud Torah, keneged kulam. If you have zechuyot like this, it can save you from all kinds of bad things. So a person has to know that, right? Okay, very good. I'm going to tell you something a little bit about Chanuka also. So last time, right, we discussed the issue that was Thursday, I believe. We discussed the issue of what time to light, right? So I think we pretty much covered that. Now I want to talk about the placement, right? Where do you put it? The menorah. Where do you put the menorah? So the answer is that in the old days, in the times of Talmud, they used to put the menorah where? Outside, next to the door, outside the door, the front door, and they would put it over there to publicize the miracle, Persume Nisa. Today, most of us don't do this. What's the reason why? Because of sakana, because the goyim, they see the menorah outside and they come, and do some damage, vandalism, or, they kill somebody, whatever. The goyim are crazy, Mishugayim. So because of this, because of sakana, what they did was they moved the mitzvah to the inside the house. We don't. So most of us don't light outside anymore. There are some people in Israel, by the way, they light outside because they say in Israel there's no sakana, there's no danger, we're in our own country. But we know what's going on there, right? Not exactly 100%. There is a little bit sakana there too. But anyway, right? The point is that. Because of this, we light inside. But the question is, where inside, right? Where do you put it? So there are 3 different options, right? You can do inside. One is by the front door, opposite side of the mezuzah, right? The mezuzah is on your right side. So the menorah will be on the left, opposite the mezuzah. But inside the house, right? On a little, you put it on a little table there, a low table. This is one way to do. That's a nice way to do, to do like this. Some people do it this way. There's also another way, which is also very good, which is to put it on the window. Right? Why the windows? This way the people outside, who are passing by can see, so Pirsume Nisa. It publicizes the miracle. So windows also good, especially if you have people passing by there, There's people who see it. So if you have something like that, that's also a very good option. Most people do like this today. They put it in the window. You know that, right? I don't have to tell you. So the window is a nice option. There are also some people who have a different minhag, by the Sfardim. You know what they do? They put it on their table, like dining room table, you know? Shabbat table, whatever. They put it there, on the table. You know? Because it's really for the, the family to see, you know? It's not really for the people outside so much today. As we said, right? They moved it inside.
I think you mentioned Rabbi did it, no?
Maran used to do where? On the window, right? He lived on the second floor, right? Hakablan 45. Don't forget his address. Go visit. Right? So I used to go pass by, every time I would see it on his window, right? The menorah there on the second floor. That's where he had it, right on the window. So this was, even though he writes in the Chazon Ovadia, to put it by the door, as we said, right, the front door. He himself didn't do this way, for whatever reason, I don't know, whatever it is, right, whatever it may be. He used to put it on the window. Okay, that's what I do too. I put it on the window. I've been doing that all my life. More or less, right? That's what I've always done. So that's also good. As we said, right? Some people put it on the table. That's also, kosher. You know what I mean? But the truth is, we tell you like this, if you couldn't put it on the window and people also outside will see it, maybe it's better to do it this way. Why not? It's a better option, perhaps. Because of that reason, So that's, and by the front door, the reason we put it there is you're surrounded by mitzvot, You have the mezuzah and the menorah. You're surrounded with mitzvot. That's the reason why they put it there. So this is really the options, right? Okay, so that's fine. Now, right, we have to talk about the height. Okay? So the truth is, that the Chazal say you have to put it in a height, lechatchila, which the eye can see, very easily. The eye catches it, So what is that? From 3 tfachim, 1, 2, 3, to 10 tfachim, which is up to your waist. This is the best place. So the truth is, if you can put it like in a low place like that, a low table, like a coffee table or something, or something like that, right? If you're putting it by the door, the front door, right? Put it on a low table. So this is perfecto. Nice. Good. Right? But if you're putting it on the window, the problem is, sometimes the window is a little bit higher. So there's no choice. You know what I mean? You got to put it a little bit high. What can you do, right? You cannot do everything. So the truth is, even if it's above 10 tfachim, it's above your waist, it's still kosher. But it's just that, the best way to do it is below 10 tfachim. So, if you can do that, you want to put it by the door, that's good. A lot of people, by the way, don't do it this way. And the reason is because, they have children in the house, so they're afraid the child will go and knock it down. If you put it in a low place like that, the child will go and, start a fire, something like that, right? So that's why we don't want to mess with that. You know what I mean? We don't want it to be so accessible to the children. That they're running around the house. So because of that, if you have this issue, better probably not to put it there. So low like that. Maybe somebody will knock it down. So this is in terms of the height, right? The placement is like this. But in terms of but we don't want to make it too high, right? Just like like that your eye can see it good. That's that's the we don't want to make it too high. You know what I mean? If you make it really, really, really too high, it's going to be pasul. It's going to be not Yotzei Dechovah. So what does that mean? If it's so high that your eye doesn't readily see it, it's too high for your eye doesn't catch it. You have to look up like this. It's too high. No good, right? So how much is that? Right? 10 amot. If you put 5 meters, if you put it like higher than that, we say, it's too high because the eye doesn't catch it. Too much. Lo Yotzei Dechovah. So that's no good, right? So that kind of placement we don't want. So as we said, right, from 3 to 10 is the best, tfachim. And up to 10, right, you put it on your your shoulder, right, whatever, your eyes, that's also good, nice height. You know what I mean? If you have to put it by the window or on your table, right, the table is usually taller than that. It's not that small. But if you got a coffee table, you can do it there. Move a coffee table there.
But in Manhattan, they're putting 50 feet. Is it allowed?
100 floor.
You're talking about in the building or outside?
Outside.
Outside, this is just for show. It's not a mitzvah.
They're saying bracha.
Yeah.
The
So
rabbi goes out there.
yeah. So truth is, that
Bracha.
Chabad has this custom, to do like this. You know what I mean? But we, the Sfardim, we don't do this. What business do we have to go out there? And you cannot make a bracha there. The truth is, there's no mitzvah there to do outside like that, in front of everybody. Because the truth is, I have to tell you one thing, right? That the mitzvah of menorah, the mitzvah of Chanukiah, requires a house. It has to be in a home. It has to be in a house, So when you're not inside, you're outdoors altogether in the park, you cannot be Yotzei Dechoba like this. So this is just, minhag for show, to bring people, give them some donuts, some ganiot, they can eat, for fun, this is not the real mitzvah. It's minhag, minhag of Chabad, they do this, but...
They do it opposite to Christmas.
Well, I don't do it, but anyway, I would tell them, if they would come and ask me, I would tell them not to make a bracha, without a bracha, to light it there. Even if you want to do it, for show, to make, to show people. That's the thing, when it comes to placement. Another thing I want to tell you, we'll stop here, just one more thing. What I'll tell you is that when it comes to placement, right, you're not supposed to, after you light the menorah already, you make the bracha, you're not supposed to move it to a different place. Asur to do this, So first you place it in its place, and then you light it, But not, first light it and then move it around, Why the rabbis don't want this? Because it looks like, you need the light for as a flashlight, It looks like you didn't light it for Chanuka. So because of that, they don't want you to move around like that. So put it in its place first, right? And then light it. This is the way to do it. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen, amen. לפיך אני שומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעוסק בישראל, לפיך לכיפר להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר אדוני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.